So we've been working with Liberty for the best part of a year now. We run a fully retained experimentation service, which means we're continually running research and analysis, coming up with ideas and designing and building and running, managing experiments in Optimizely in order to drive revenue performance for the business.
We had a number of issues with our what we call multivariate testing program. To others, maybe a conversion rate optimization program, and those were largely getting things moving. So coming up with the ideas for those tests, then actually building them and getting them up and running in Optimizely was always very slow. We wanted to employ an agency with expertise to champion that and sort of speed that along for us. So that was the sort of primary reason. Outside of that, we wanted a partner that could push the boat out much further than we could internally. We're obviously very close to the website and perhaps don't think outside the box. So we wanted someone with fresh eyes that could take experiment and testing concepts to the next level. And yeah, they absolutely did that for us.
The other way we really add value is we provide advanced statistical measurements around tests. The Optimizely platform has a really great way of measuring experiments within it, but we combine that with our own proprietary ways of measuring tests to give a really holistic picture of the performance of experiments, what it means for the business, what we should do next. The other way we really bring value is through what we call our experimentation operating system. This is both a project management tool, but also a set of methodologies, ways of working, frameworks, and things like that. And this systematizes the whole process of experimentation. It allows us to track multiple different ideas, experiments, and all of the bitty workflow and pieces of work that go with that, and also to really collaborate with Liberty on that. It allows us to truly work as an extension of the Liberty team.
So we've seen, I think, an estimated annual benefit of up to 4 million over the course of 12 months. But not only that, we see the incremental revenue that we get from variations outperforming our control too. So yeah, all in all, a very, very positively performing program.
Liberty traditionally have had a fairly unconventional navigation, particularly on desktop, with a left and a right hand aspect to it. And we noticed early on through eye tracking studies and through various other pieces of research that customers particularly seem to be struggling with finding the search icon and using search. And for a department store, search is incredibly important. So we wanted to test making the navigation much more conventional and horizontal on the top.
So we looked at running 2 different pieces of research to help us get that solid data. The first piece of research that we did was Icon. So Icon uses AI to predict where users will be looking on a web page.
So the tool's got quite a few different reports. One of those is a design metrics report. It's got a perception map. It's got an attention map, a hotspots report, and lastly, regions of interest report. So this one allows you to highlight individual elements on a page to see how visible that area is to the user. So what we can see is that the navigation on the left-hand side has a visibility value of minus 37%. We designed a variation of the homepage with the main navigation at the top of the page, which we can see has a much higher visibility value of around plus 35%.
The second one was a card sort. A card sort is a really good way of understanding whether a website navigation, whether the information architecture, whether the taxonomy is grouped in a way that makes sense to users, and whether that is a way that users would group the content. So what we did was pulled out all of the different items that currently sit within the nav. We use a tool to do this, so we would then recruit external participants, use screening questions to make sure that they're luxury shoppers, and then what we ask them to do is categorize every single item from that nav into groups that make sense to them. So that should then inform what you have in your top level nav, and then what those items should be that sit within that as well. So that then just gives us a bit more of an argument to change the way that that is structured.
Our developers managed to build what is essentially a very complicated test, redesigning the entire navigation and information architecture and taxonomy of the site within Optimizely. And we managed to deploy that and run that as a very robust test within Optimizely without touching their internal IT. This had a huge impact on performance, more so than any of us really expected.
Without the need the long lead time and constraints of using our SI or internal developer resource, Journey Further, we're able to get it up and running as quickly as possible, and we're able to turn results around in less than 4 weeks. So we drove up to 150,000 in incremental revenue over a 2-week period, which for us is upwards of 3-4 million over the course of 12 months. So yeah, massively positive for us.
We're so proud of what we've been able to deliver for Liberty, and it's really a good example of how we work. We have the similar success on vast majority of the clients that we work on. If anyone's out there wanting to get into experimentation, wanting to see these kinds of results and transformation, get in touch with us. We're more than happy to speak to any kind of client of any size. We're incredibly passionate about driving results for the clients that we work with, and we'd love to do it for you.